welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a makeup tutorial on this look. I really wanted to use one of the new Stila Magnificent Metals Glitter and Glow liquid eyeshadows. This is what I'm using on my eyes today. This shade is called Bronzed Belle, and I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm also using one of the new Barry M Matte Me Up liquid lipsticks. This one is in the shade Minimalist. I really wanted to try their range to see how good it is. So far, I'm quite liking this shade. I think it's actually not bad. We'll just go for kind of like a bronzed, glowy, glittery, glam sort of makeup look. I know it looks like I'm wearing a black t-shirt, but actually it's like the New York skyline. And it's in black and gold. So I was very much going for kind of a black and gold sort of theme today. Got these earrings from H&M quite recently. This is from Topshop. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this makeup tutorial. Like, comment, subscribe for more tutorials. And I hope you all enjoy the video. Bye. So first I'm going to be priming my eyes with the Urban Decay Primer Potion in the shade Enigma, which is a neutral matte eyeshadow primer that will keep your eyeshadow in place all day. Followed by the Skin Based Visage Face Primer by MAC, which is just one of the samples that I'm desperately trying to make my way through because I've got like loads at home. Then for foundation, I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation in the shade Caramel Beige. Bear in mind, my UK peeps, I bought this when I was in Canada. You can't buy this shade here, unfortunately. So, and sorry about that. And this is a gorgeous matte foundation, which I love to use just to keep my skin matte, basically. And then I'm blending it in with the Real Techniques buffing brush, which is an awesome foundation brush to have in your collection. Now I've already done my eyebrows, listing it at the bottom. Now I'm moving on to the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Medium, which I use to cover my under eye dark circles as well as highlight the high points of my face. I put quite a lot on my nose because that way it keeps kind of your nose covered throughout the day without any skin showing through. And then I am blending it all out with a beauty blender. And now to set everything, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Original Contour Kit, and I'm using a Real Techniques buffing brush just to set my concealer, which you saw me placing under my eyes and everywhere else. And then I'm going to be using the NYX HD finishing powder in the shade Banana with the same brush, which I use to set the concealer around my eyebrows, which I apply to carve out my eyebrows and make them look really neat and tidy, as well as setting my primer on my eyes and adding a little bit of colour to neutralise my eyelids a little bit more. And then to set my face, I'm using the MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus foundation in the shade NC40, which I lightly apply with a Sigma powder brush just to set my foundation. And now I'm prepping my lips with some Carmex lip balm. And next I'm going to be using on my eyes the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, which is just like one of my favourite palettes. And I'm using a Sigma tapered blending brush and the shade Tempera just to neutralise my eyes and make the skin on my eyes really nice and soft, so that it makes blending out eyeshadows really easy. And then I'm going to be using the shade Burnt Orange, and I'm using a Morphe M330 blending brush, and I am going backwards and forwards in the crease. I went in with the shade quite heavily because I want to build up that colour. I almost want to have like a sunset kind of effect going on with my eyes. So just blend it backwards and forwards. I went in twice, I would say, and just made sure that I smoothed it all out, slowly dragging it upwards so that it's nice and diffused, so it's kind of darker towards the crease and then starts getting lighter towards the brow bone. Then I'm using the shade Realga, and I'm using a Morphe M502 brush, and I'm going directly into the crease. I'm not going above the burnt orange shade, and again, as you can see, I'm going in very heavily, and I'm going in with windshield wiper motions, but then I also kind of squiggle it around at the same time. Now I'm using that same first Morphe M330 brush and just going above to blend it all out so that there are no harsh lines, and then I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. For the brow bone, I'm using the shade Vermeer, and I'm applying it with a MAC 227 fluff brush. This is a nice kind of very pale shimmery shade. It's not too over the top and overpowering, but it gives a nice highlight to the brow bone. And then again with the Morphe M330 brush to blend between the darker colour and the brow bone shade to make sure there are no harsh lines. That's like the standard line for blending out eyeshadow. And now I'm just using the Anastasia Beverly Hills brow gel in the shade Chocolate just to tidy up my brows even further and get rid of any eyeshadow that may have attached itself on its journey. And now for the lid, I'm using the Stila Magnificent Metals Glitter Liquid eyeshadow, and I'm using it in the shade Bronzed Belle, and I'm applying it all over the lid, and I'm doing it almost like a cut crease kind of effect. And then I'm using that same Morphe, the second brush, while it's slightly wet, just to blend over it, because I want the glitter not to look like a cut crease. I want it to actually blend into the eyeshadow. So I did it very, very lightly. I waited maybe like a minute for it to dry so that I didn't drag up all the liquid. So just make sure that you take your time when doing that. And as you can see, the colours have diffused nicely into each other. And then I'm using my NYC liquid liner in black just to do my liquid liner, as I always do. I think I need to try a new one. I think this one's nearly finished. But yeah, I'm doing my liquid liner the same way that I've always been doing, as you have seen in the past few videos. Now I'm using Push Up Drama mascara by Maybelline, and then I am going to be using the Lily Galici Lily Lashes in the style Eyeliner by Makeup by Eyeliner from Instagram. Lovely jubbly. Now I'm using the shade Red Ochre, and I'm blending it into the lower lash line with a Royal & Langnickel Pro Pencil blending brush. This is just to give a little bit of contrast to the shades above. This is a nice kind of reddish brown shade, and it looks amazing on the lower lash line, so just blend that out nicely. And then I'm using the Rimmel Scandalized Coral Gudgel in the shade Black, as I always do for my waterline. And then I'm going to be using the shade Primavera, and I'm applying it to my tear duct with a MAC pencil brush. This is so that it doesn't contrast too much with the glitter, but just to have a nice soft inner highlight. And then I'm going to be using the Maybelline Push Up Angel mascara, which is amazing to use on the lower lash line because it's a very, very, very thin applicator. That's the word I was looking for. Now I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit again, and I'm using a Sigma angled F40 brush to carve out my cheekbones and give my face some dimension, because when you apply foundation all over your face, it can make your skin look very one-dimensional. So this is just to give a little bit more shape to the face again. Using the Laura Mercier translucent powder and a Morphe M459 contour brush, I am cutting out and carving out my contour. This is just to tidy it up, to give my face again a little bit more sharpness, if that makes sense, because I have got a fairly roundish kind of face. And then I'm brushing it all off with a Real Techniques buffing brush, as I always do. Now using Becca's Flower Child blush, which is a lovely pale peachy kind of blush, I'm applying it to the backs of my cheekbones with a MAC blush brush, a 129 blush brush. I apply it to the backs of my cheekbones because, again, if I put it on my actual cheeks, as in the apples of my cheeks, my face will look too round. And now to highlight, I'm using a Morphe M501 pointed blender brush, and I'm applying Anastasia Beverly Hills So Hollywood Illuminator to my cheekbones to illuminate my face, to make it look lovely and lifted. A little bit on the end of your nose, and make sure you blend it out, as well as on top of your Cupid's bow. This is to make those areas stand out and to make it look like you've got slightly fuller lips. And then I'm just blending out any harsh lines to make sure that the blush and the highlighter blend seamlessly into each other. And then I'm just tidying up my face with the NYX HD powder. And now for my lips, I'm using Barry M's Matte Me Up liquid lipstick in the shade Minimalist, which is a lovely pale peach colour. I'm definitely going to do a review on these lip paints at some point soon. And then that's about it really. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I've got another tutorial coming up soon where I've done that princess crown eye makeup look. I did it for fun. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys love this video. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!